Hello, friends. Sam Ettaro coming to you with another episode of The Brand. And today we're talking about a business endeavor that has something very personal behind it. And it's actually a story that is near and dear to my heart because it involves healing from serious disease and the desire to want to help others heal from serious disease. Today on the show, we are going to be speaking with our guest, Patricia. She goes by Trish, Patricia Heitz, and we're going to talk about her story as a cancer survivor. And again, I've shared this publicly, so a lot of you may already know that I too am a cancer survivor. And Trish is going to come on and talk about her business that she has started to help others along their pathway to healing. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it and bring in our guest, Patricia Heitz. Trish, welcome to The Brand. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for what you are doing to help other people and your bravery to talk openly about your battle with that most serious disease.
Thank you so much for having me, Sam. It's such a passion of mine, having gone through, as you know, being a cancer survivor, hearing those words of diagnosis is heart-stopping, and it completely changes your life.
Oh, 100%. You and I had some very serious, deep personal conversation prior to the interview. So I'm going, it's something, as I said, that myself as a survivor, this story is very near and dear to me, and what you're doing, I believe, is important. So I'm going to resist the urge to talk and inject my story into this, because this show is all about the brand. It's all about you. So I want to go ahead and give you the floor here and tell us a bit about your journey and what led you to start Patricia Heitz Wellness.
Thank you for giving me the floor.
Absolutely.
So, my story started in 2002. I was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and it came from out of the blue. There were no symptoms. I was feeling perfectly fine. I just happened to go to my annual gynecological checkup. So women, remember, going for checkups, or anyone, going for checkups is very important. And he was such a great gynecologist. The tumor on my right kidney was so large. As you know, your kidney is found in your back, but this tumor was so large that he actually found it as I was feeling for my uterus over by my hip. And he knew instantly something was wrong, sent me for an MRI. And shock of all shocks when he told me that I had a mass on my kidney. So he referred me to an amazing urologist. Took me a couple of weeks to get in there, probably 2 of the longest weeks of my life, trying to figure out what was coming next. And so they removed the kidney. And while I was home waiting for the biopsy results, because that was going to determine where they went from there, what the next steps were, biopsying the tissue and the tumor, someone gave me a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And if you are not familiar with Louise Hay, she's not with us anymore, but she started her journey, she was much older. She cured herself from 2 different kinds of cancer. And what her journey and experience, the information that she shared was that what we believe about ourselves, the energy of our beliefs, whether it's negative or whether it's positive, is an energy that we hold in our body. And especially if it's a negative energy, it literally can change the DNA of the cells in our body. And when you hold on to this negative energy, depending on what the belief means, what you feel it means about you, we hold it in different areas of our body. So she had an index about the kidney, and when I read kidney and what kind of negative energy is held in the kidney was anger, shame, and fear, I felt like somebody just plugged me into an electric socket. This electricity went through me that resonated. I knew that was so true for me, because I came from a difficult childhood with alcoholism, and there was lots of fear, anger, shame, and I just knew that was true. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I could add to creating disease in my body by my self-loathing beliefs about myself, what could I do if I learned how to love myself? So I was hooked. I had to know everything from that moment on about how disease is created, how our mind contributes to creating physical disease or wellness, if you feel really good about yourself, and how that connects with the body. So I studied every mind, body, wellness book, audio. As I recovered from my surgery, I walked every day. I listened to an audio every day. I read something every day. And then the following week, when after I read that book and had that aha moment, the biopsy results came back, and I was told that the good news was that they found no any proof that there were cancer cells anywhere in the surrounding tissue or in the lymph nodes. So that was good news. The bad news was that with kidney cancer, because everything goes through the kidney, they didn't know if any cancer cells had traveled through the kidney and are just parked someplace else in the body that could be triggered, that they would lay dormant and could be triggered. So the bad news was that they could never say I was cured, that I had to come back every year for the rest of my life and, anticipate that it could be triggered at any time.
Oh,
so I decided I was going to focus on that. I was going to focus on the wellness part. So I studied every mind, body, wellness book, audio, and I started applying those teachings to my life. And I started to really learn that I had these gifts, talents, and strengths that I never really focused on or paid attention to. And I started little by little to release the negative beliefs, having many aha moments, asking myself very deep personal questions about where these beliefs came from, letting them go, healing them, and then embracing the best of who I was. So fast forward.
Can I stop you for a moment there?
Yeah, sure.
For anybody watching this that this may be resonating with, give us an example of one of those aha moments that you had. And perhaps somebody watching can go, I can identify with this.
So here is something that these beliefs are completely buried and unconscious to us until we start looking for them. So one of the beliefs the first thing that came up when I started to discover this was the week before I had this first aha moment, my husband told me that friends of the family who lived in New Jersey had traveled to the shrine of Padre Pio. And I'm not even sure if people pray to Padre Pio anymore, but he was a saint of miracles or miraculous healings, etc. And that they traveled to this shrine and lit a candle for me. And when he told me this, I burst out in tears and I said, oh my God, they traveled that far to do that for me. I actually said these words to my husband, I'm not worth that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at the time, that was just like, it wasn't an aha moment. It just came out of my mouth as that's how that's what I was expressing.
Wow.
And after I read Louise Hay's book and I discovered about how we hold, that was the first thing that came to mind. Like, well, there's an aha, like, clearly, I feel that way about myself, but it was never really a conscious belief. Some other examples were just self-sabotage. I would get very successful doing something, and once I got to the successful place, there would be events, situations, or people that would come into my life that would tear it all down. And I never understood, like, I would get up there and then I'd come crashing down. And then I would get up there and I would come crashing down. And I just thought I had the worst luck in the world. And of course, when you come crashing down, I'm a loser. What's the matter with me?
Why didn't they like me?
What happened? You have no answers because you made you made decisions that were self-sabotaging without even realizing it that led to the crash. And when you have this aha moment and you go back and you look at the circumstances and the choices that you make, it's very clear that you made the wrong choices. But at the moment, you can't see that because all you can see is what's in front of you. You don't know what's underneath and what's a part of you that's helping make these decisions and choices.
I remember there was a period of time where I was suffering from some severe back pain, sciatica. And I went to a fellow who was a friend of the family, and he did an incredible, some energy work as well as myofascial release. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And he explained to me the mechanism of the fascia. The inside, if anybody knows, you open up a roast that you buy at the store and you see that white film over the muscle, right? Well, apparently that is all one. It's like our inner skin. It coats everything inside our body, and it's all one piece. And he explained to me that trauma the fascia can memorize trauma, but not just physical trauma. So he said, for instance, suppose you were hit in the chest by a baseball when you were a little kid, and all your friends were picking on you, and you felt terrible, and it really lowered your self-esteem and all those things that are associated with that at 7 years old, right? When he works on people, sometimes when he stretches that fascia out and releases it, they'll have an emotional, an emotional response. And most oftentimes they don't even realize where it came from, but it was buried so deep inside. And he put it to me this way. He's a Christian practitioner, and he said to me, you know, if God wants you to know what it is that is happening there, he'll reveal it to you. If not, just let it go. Just let that go. And the fascia and the muscles will release, and the tension, and then healing can begin in that area. And that opened me up to a lot of, I guess we would say alternative to Western medicine views of the human body. And I've gone through, as I shared with you on the phone, some pretty deep aha moments myself about my journey with cancer. So you're clear now, and everything is good. And now you're on a mission to help other people heal. How did you reach that point to say, okay, I need to start a business here?
Well, I came from the spa industry. I was
did you?
About helping people. I thought I could contribute to helping people feel better about themselves by helping them look better and feel better. It's not just, your hair and your makeup, but, facial,
sure.
body and all that. So I came from that world where, I already had this inclination that I wanted to help people look and feel better. But it didn't really dawn on me to do anything with my experience until about 15 years post-diagnosis. And I had been using all those years to learn how to heal and release and create new positive beliefs about myself, really embraced and discovered talents, gifts, and strengths that I really never paid attention to. And, started to really love myself, like myself first, then love myself. And so when I went back for my annual checkup, I was about 15, 16 years post-diagnosis. And when I went, the doctor said, I feel very comfortable using the word cure.
Oh, wow.
And I was shocked because they said that was never an option. And I said that to him, and he said, well, we know more about the disease now after all these years. And what we know is if there's been no incidence of any cancer anywhere in your body for all these years, we feel pretty comfortable using the word cure. That
Wonderful.
was so exciting to hear because I took that as confirmation that what I had done to heal my negative beliefs had literally saved my life. So I felt that was the impetus, that was the inspiration where I thought, I have to share this with people. I have to share this with anybody I can.
Yeah.
So I wrote my book. My book is Daydreams Come True, a self-coaching workbook. And if you want to bring up the picture.
Yeah. I was just going to say, let me pull up now I have your books up here on my page, but I'm seeing Be Attitudes, Daily Inspiration.
That's an ebook.
But I don't see any other books.
So the other book would be on the page that I gave you.
Oh, Discover the Best of You.
Yes.
I got it. Let me pull this up. And you just walk our audience through and tell me what you want me to click on. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Click on the picture of Daydreams Come True. There we go. Okay. It's right there. That navy blue cover. So that is a workbook. So it's not, like I tell people, it's not a beach read, because the idea of it is I wanted people to work with the methodology that I had worked with myself to discover what my limiting beliefs were and how the questions I asked myself to discover them and help release them and let them go so that I could create more beliefs that really served me as opposed to the ones that didn't serve me. So that's and then after I wrote the book, people around me had questions about how to use it and so forth. So I thought I should do workshops on this using the book. So that's when I started in 2018. I started doing workshops in conjunction with the book. The book is 6 chapters. And it is, like I said, it's a workbook that asks you very specific questions to help you discover what those limiting beliefs are and assess where they came from, help you create new beliefs, and then go forth into the world with your new beliefs that serve you, creating a better life. And so I realized that this was kind of its own methodology, this process. So I created a name for it called D.A.R.E, Your Beliefs, which is an acronym. D standing for Discover What Your Limiting Beliefs Are. And then the A is assess where they came from and in what part of your world, what part of your life do they show up the most? Because some people have very intense limiting beliefs around relationships, but they do really well in their career, or they don't do well in their career and they do well in relationships. It's just all depends on where your beliefs came from and how and why you hold on to them. So assessing where they came from and what part of your world do they least serve you. And then the R is now that you know what they are, you've discovered what they are. Now you know where they came from. Now you can recreate new beliefs that do serve your strengths, your beliefs, your talents, embracing. So now you're going to discover more about what you're really about, the authentic you, as opposed to a persona that most all of us take on to be accepted and loved in the world instead of embracing all these amazing gifts and talents of who we are. So now we can create new beliefs around that. And then the E is expanding on those new beliefs, because as you go forward in the world, you're going to see the world from a completely different view. But because our brains are set up, this is a lot of what I studied in my credentialing of becoming a coach, is what our brain does the best. And its main job is to keep us safe. So it's always scanning things to keep us out of danger.
Yeah, so many of those emotional responses, they're defense mechanisms because we were hurt in a previous portion of our life, right?
Exactly. So your brain wants you to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, because even if it's painful, if people are like, say, in a dysfunctional relationship or in their job that they hate, and it makes them cry every day, it doesn't matter. You've learned coping mechanisms. You've learned how to manage that. You haven't died. So in your brain's world, you've coped with it. That's safe because we know what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain does not like new and unknown because it's not proven to be safe. So when you start making a change in how you do the world, your brain is going to pull you back into your old patterns. So expanding on those beliefs is very important so you can keep reiterating these new behaviors based on your new beliefs so that you can create a new comfort zone and a new default.
I asked you on the phone, and I would really urge you to look into this woman's work, Dr. Caroline Leaf. She is, she mixes, she's a brain scientist, like scientist.
Mm-hmm.
But now she approaches this from the standpoint of this type of healing from the standpoint of biblical teachings. But the science aspect of this, she gets into the correlations there and she teaches on this. That's her thing, right? But the science of it is very interesting. It very much along the lines of what you're talking about. She talks about that thoughts actually manifest as physical things in our brains called dendrites. And as we think, these things spider out through our brain, and they look like a tree. They look like tree branches with branches, right? So one thought process leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And over the years, they develop patterns like wagon wheel ruts, right? And and hence habits are formed. So her whole thing is, as the Bible talks about becoming a new creation. She's saying this. It starts in the mind. Well, not it doesn't start. Again, you can go into her theology and talk with and watch her stuff. But the point being is recreating your being through your beliefs, harnessing your beliefs to relay those maps in your brain, create new dendrites that are based on these new beliefs about yourself and leaving the baggage behind. It's my wife and I have been listening to her for years. Fascinating stuff.
It is. It actually, if you read about that, the dendrite, the beginning of that branch, starts if you hold a thought for 17 seconds.
Yeah. She went over that science. Yep. I know what you're talking about. It creates a little nodule.
It creates a little seed there. And then you keep thinking on that and it grows and it literally, becomes a thing in your life, or in case of disease, that the energy of that affects, if you remember back from, when we all learned about physiology and physics about the atom and how there's the nucleus and then there's the electron that circles, right? Well, that's an ongoing piece of movement. That's an energy. And everything has energy. Every cell in our body has energy. So when you hold a negative energy for at least 17 seconds and you keep going back and you keep living in that and thinking about it and wallowing in it and holding on to it, of course it creates more and more and more. And after a while, that negative energy starts to affect those electrons in the atoms within the nucleus of the cells of our DNA. And it literally changes the DNA makeup, which is how tumors are formed.
Yeah, this is really cool. I was so excited to talk with you because of my exploration of her work, and I was like, yeah, I get it, and I saw the application in my own journey. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of it here, but I shared with you one of my big aha moments in coming to understanding the significance of my own cancer and my emotional background. And you said, man, it gave you chills when I shared with you what I had what I had stumbled upon,
Yeah. It does give you chills. You can literally feel that energy in your body.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And when you have one of those aha moments, that very first one, it's almost like the only thing I can compare it to is like when you take it, that energy is trapped in a little a pod, I guess you would say. It's trapped in that area of your body. And when you discover it, when you look at it, it's like taking the cork off of the champagne bottle. It just comes out and it starts to dissipate. And that's the beginning of the healing process of that.
Absolutely. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't. And that's why it feels when you have that discovery. I was working with someone and I asked him a question about the things he was holding on to. He kept referring to looking back on mistakes he'd made in his life with, according to my pride. I just had so much pride. He kept using that word pride.
Yes.
Pride. And finally I said to him, what does pride mean to you? I know what it means to me, but what does it mean to you? He sat back in his chair and he said, I'm dizzy. I'm having peripheral vision problems. Like literally, I thought maybe he was having a stroke or something. He was scaring me.
Yes.
But so I said, I think we need to end the session now and you need to go home and lay down. So the next time we met, I said, that was a release. Like you hit on the wound where all that energy is hitting, and what you feel is pride, you've labeled to kind of create a cover for your wound, but that's your wound.
And his physiological reaction to that understanding was very, very real, and his body was fighting his understanding of it. It's interesting. Yeah. We only got about 7 minutes left here, so I want to go through your books and talk very briefly. I'm going to pull this up. Go ahead and share some of your books, a quick overview, and the services that you offer, and then we'll how people can get hold of you if they're interested in learning more.
Great.
Awesome. There we go.
Okay, so I've already showed you the Daydreams Come True workbook. That's the navy blue one. The one to the right where the woman is throwing up her hands and so much joy is called the Beatitudes. And that is kind of a play if anybody's religion. This is the attitudes that you can adopt to just use every day to help you stay in a higher vibrational frequency place. When something happens to you, it's there's a little explanation of be so concerned about be so concerned about healing yourself that you have no concern about others around you with judgment. Be working on you and healing you instead of being concerned with what other people are doing. So we go into that. That's another one. We work up to the final one is there's the 12 Beatitudes. Then the final one is just be love, like embrace. We are all born in the energy of love. That's who we authentically are. Like go back and find that about yourself. The other book here is there's 2 books that say Thrive on them. One is Living the World in Thrive. Living in Thrive, and that's an acronym. So Thrive is in thankfulness, in healing, in regeneration, living in inspiration, reading something every day that inspires you or listening to something. V is for living in a higher vibration and how to keep yourself in a higher vibration so you don't suck back into that I'm not worthy, I don't deserve. And then E is living in the energy of who you authentically are, not the persona that we have all felt we've had to adapt to in order to be accepted or loved. The other Thrive book is about how to thrive while you are trying to address weight loss. Weight loss is so much more about just the scale and how many calories you take in. What you believe about yourself is the foundation of why you have a relationship with food that doesn't serve you. It's all about what you believe about yourself, using food as a comfort mechanism as opposed to learning how to love yourself and use your own self-love as a comforting mechanism.
Right. Well, they say you are what you eat, right? And it's true. And if what is driving that is unhealthy, you're going to eat unhealthy stuff, and then you're going to be unhealthy. But
what I found with working with people for this is that once they discover and they build up the best of who they are, the need to use food as a comfort mechanism dissipates.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw that when I went through my addiction trials many years ago. Once the light bulb went off and I realized why I was drinking as much as I was, I couldn't go back to it. It just, because it didn't serve any purpose anymore.
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I still love a good,
you can't unsee it.
Yeah. I'd still love a good cold beer after mowing the lawn on a hot summer day, but I don't need it for any other purposes than that. And I found that it was a problem. And so it just doesn't have any sway over me anymore. Let's go back to classes and workshops real quick and other services you offer. We got about 3 minutes. Let's wrap it up and then tell people about how they can get hold of Trish.
Okay.
Right.
So if you want to get a hold of me, you can just go to my website, patriciaheitz.com. You just Google patriciaheitz.com and it will come right up. My workshops, my main workshop is D.A.R.E Your Beliefs. It's a 6-week journey with the workbook. You fill out a chapter every week and then we review it. And I help you find things that maybe you got stuck on. I also just introduced a new workshop called Weightless that I work with a nutrition coach who teaches you how to help build your own food plan. It's not a diet.
That's not on the site yet?
It's not. It's just introduced.
No worries.
And then I'm also working on an entrepreneurial intelligence workshop that I'm going to release in March about how stress limits the intellectual capability of our library of information.
Okay. So you do one-on-one classes, online classes, group classes. I also see some energy work stuff here that you do as well.
I do. I'm a Reiki Master, so I do energy work as well. Yes.
Okay. All right. And this 28-day challenge is the last thing you gave me to go over.
Yes,
talk to me about that.
That's for February. It's a 28-day self-love challenge. And I really encourage anyone who struggles, who beats themselves up and listens to their inner critic on a daily basis. This will really make a huge difference in your life. Every day you get sent a different inspirational quote and activity to help you prove to yourself that you are more than worthy.
Awesome. Awesome. Patricia, thank you so much for coming on the show. Anything else you want our viewers to know?
No,
Any kind of special offers you want to offer them or anything like that?
If anyone emails me that they heard about us or heard about me from Sam's show, I would love to offer you a 15% discount on anything that you would like.
Yes.
Because I would really love to help more people find their best lives.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you in your new endeavor. Congratulations to you in your successful healing. That's fabulous news that your doctors say they feel comfortable using the word cure now. And yeah, absolutely. It was a real pleasure. I'm looking forward to meeting you. We got to go have lunch sometime and sit down and get deeper into some of our stories for sure.
That would be wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Trish Heitz, thank you so much for coming on the brand and sharing with our audience what makes your brand so special. Thank you. All right. And there you have it. Another episode of The Brand in the Digital Bag. I'm your host, Sam Ettaro, coming to you from my studios in the beautiful Queen City, also known as Charlotte, North Carolina. If you'd like to be on the brand, visit us at there's a couple different ways. You can go to charlottenow.tv and follow the links to the application, or just go to my website, ETTARO media.com/ The Brand. Fill out the application and we will get back to you. We are booking up for months. We got a lot of response from this and it's going quite well. So go ahead and get your app in and look for a response email. We'll get you going. If you want to learn a little bit more about my business, event video production, podcast production, even equipment sales, service, design of studios, installation and training, click the gear page, the project pages, and the services pages on my website at aitaromedia.com. Thanks again to our special guest, Patricia Heitz, also known as Trish, and wonderful work that she's doing. Make sure that you visit her at patriciaheitz.com. Thanks so much for watching. This is The Brand. I'm Ettaro, and I'm out.